بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم. اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. The class tonight again is inshallah about Hajj. We're going to continue where we left off yesterday. And Hajj is a big ritual. Jazakallah khair. It has a lot of things to do and not to do and how to do it and all that. I will try to go through it quickly, inshallah, at least for the most part, and maybe answer some important questions which we did not get the chance to answer yesterday, inshallah. But this basically, the class will be about Hajj and all things that are related to Hajj, like the hadi, the udhiyah, the sacrifice, and all the stuff that is, again, connected to that. So a person who does some of the things which are not supposed to be done in Hajj, like somebody who shaves his head before the tahallul, yani before he's supposed to, or somebody who wears something that has tailoring in it, or someone who covers his head, or a lady who covers her face. What do they do in this situation? They either fast 3 days, or they feed 6 poor people, or they slaughter a goat or something like that. So that's normally. But we said the big one is if somebody does intimacy in Hajj, that is a very big one. And this, I don't know if I can say that, even involves masturbation, anything like that. It doesn't have to be the actual intimacy. Anything that is related to this matter in Hajj, that will make it invalid, the Hajj. That person has to repeat the whole Hajj. And they have to do tauba, and they have to sacrifice an animal. So this is a different story. Just like breaking the fast in Ramadan, same thing. It's a big deal if somebody breaks the fast for that. All right. In terms of the sacrifice, we call it hadi. Hadi, like hadiyah, gift. In Hajj, it's called hadi. It's like you're giving a gift to the Kaaba, or to the people who are poor, who live around the Kaaba. It does have different types. Again, I don't want to make it too technical, unless everybody wants to know these things. So there is hadi tamattu', something that is sunnah to do, the Prophet ﷺ did. And there is the sacrifice, qurbani. This is the Urdu, qurbani. And even in Arabic, we say qurban. Qurban comes from qarib, close. Taqarrab, you want to become closer to God by giving him a gift. That's qurbani, basically. That's where it came from. It came from Lahore. Yes, you are welcome. Yeah. How do you say qurbani in Punjabi? Probably same thing. Right? Brother Sudagar should tell us.
Abdul Rahim is there, ask him. He's Punjabi.
He's Punjabi?
Yeah.
Oh, mashallah. So qurbani is qurbani, same thing? Same thing. Yeah. Yeah. Actually, it's in the Quran. فَقَرَّبَا قُرْبَانًا فَتُقُبِّلَ مِنْ أَحَدِهِمَا وَلَمْ يُتَقَبَّلْ مِنَ الْآخَرِ. The two children of Adam, when they both offered the sacrifice, Allah called it qurban. Qurban. It makes you closer to God if He accepts it. Yeah. So in Hajj, the name becomes hadi, not qurban. And of course, there are different types. If you make a mistake in Hajj, normally this is the rule. If somebody makes a mistake in Hajj, misses something which is not rukn, the 4 arkan, we mentioned them in the beginning, something that is less than that, then they can do mostly sacrifice, the qurbani. Sometimes people do something called nadhr, and in the Hajj, like for example, somebody says, if I was able to complete this Hajj and don't get sick and everything goes well, I'm going to sacrifice. This is called nadhr. You make a promise, if something happens, I will do something. And in that situation, you have to fulfill your nadhr as well. Normally, when does the sacrifice happen? Normally, it is when on the day of Eid. That's called Yawm al-Nahr, the day of sacrifice. If somebody made a mistake, then as soon as they realize they made a mistake, they do the sacrifice. And that's why there is no shortage of meat. Yani, if there's always somebody sacrificing something in Hajj, because a lot of people forget, people make mistakes, and there are so many rules. It's kind of yani, not too rare for somebody to make a mistake in Hajj. So you see a lot of people sacrificing, and even if you don't make a mistake, you can sacrifice for the Sunnah, and that's why there's always meat. Anyway, so that's about the hadi. And of course, the sacrifice should be according to the same rules of any sacrifice, which means should be first, there are three rules. Number one, it has to be from an'am, the cattle, meaning camel or cow or goat or sheep, something like that. It has to be without any defects. You can't get like a cow missing a leg or missing something. It has to be yani, in a good shape and not sick, obviously. And it has to be old enough. For the camels, 5 years old. For the cow, 2 years. For the goat, 1 year. And for the sheep, 6 months. So in short, Hajj starts with the ihram, for, of course, at the miqat, and we explained what the miqat is. A location, that's where you start basically your niyyah to do the hajj, and this location depends on where you're coming from which side of the world. After you make the niyyah, for the man, he wears these two pieces of cloth without anything underneath. That reminds me of Sister Haifa's question yesterday. Yeah, make sure you hold it tight, no dropping, please. And yeah, for women, of course, they can wear whatever they want, Islamic dress, obviously, and she cannot cover her hands or her face. So you start with the intention, and then labbaik Allahumma labbaik, you do the talbiyah, and until a person arrives in Mecca, the men will show their right shoulder and they'll start the tawaf al-qudum. That's the first tawaf. And of course, women will do the same thing. The tawaf normally 7 times around the Kaaba. If you can't touch the black stone, that's not good. But normally, will be like 15 million people trying to touch it. So you just by the you pass, you just raise your hand. Of course, you can make dua during tawaf is a very good thing. Best thing to say لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد وهو على كل شيء قدير ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Those du'as are recommended during the tawaf. Once the tawaf is done, a person will try to pray 2 rak'ah by maqam Ibrahim, and that is very difficult because there will be a lot of people around maqam Ibrahim. You can't get close to that. So you can pray rak'atain anywhere. قل يا أيها الكافرون and قل هو الله أحد. After that, after this is the tawaf, and it's important to mention here, tawaf requires tahara, wudu. It's like prayer. So let's say somebody loses his wudu. They have to go make wudu and come. They continue. They don't have to start over. And imagine somebody loses his wudu at the 6th round, and then he does another 7 rounds, and then he loses his wudu at the 6th round again. He will end up like doing like 55 tawaf. So yeah, and that's why, and this is again a very important question ladies ask. What do they do if the period happens during Hajj? What does the lady do if her period starts during the Hajj? So everything from the Hajj, the rituals, the things, do not need wudu or tahara. Yani sa'i and the wuquf bi Arafah, and then all the rituals do not need tahara. So the lady can do all of them. The only tawaf al-ifada, which is a rukn, this has to be done. She cannot do it. So what she does, if the period starts after she has done her tawaf, then she's good. She's good. She's done. She just continues the hajj normally. If the period starts before she did it, the tawaf, then she does all the hajj, and once the period ends, she does her tawaf. So she can delay it until she is free from that,
So
inshallah.
if there's a time that she has to leave, so she stays back and she does that?
She has to wait until
Okay.
she's pure
Okay.
to do the tawaf, and then she can leave. There is normally tawaf al-wada'. When you finish, you do tawaf one more time. When you finish the hajj, you do one tawaf before you leave Mecca. So
So
this
you have
lady
to do the
who,
tawaf al-wida also
she
with
does
wudu.
not, she does not do it, and
Oh, she does
it's
not?
and she doesn't have to do it basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it becomes okay for her not to do it.
So
Yeah,
she done the first one, and then if she doesn't do this one, tawaf al-wida, so it's
she's
okay.
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 Yeah, her hajj is fine,
Okay.
inshallah. So after finishing the tawaf, the person will go and do the sa'i between Safa and Marwa. And of course, you can stand on the Safa, make dua, stand on the Marwa, make dua, going back and forth 7 times. After that, some people, if they're doing Hajj and Umrah, can we close the door, please? So some people do Hajj and Umrah together, called Hajj and Muqtarin, Hajj and Umrah together. So at this point, they can cut a little bit of their hair, tahallul, because their Umrah is finished now. And they do another intention for the Hajj, and they continue the Hajj. So if you want to do it this way, you can. That's called al-Hajj al-Muqtarin. Anyway, after that, they go to Arafah, and that is normally on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. They stand on the mountain of Arafah. One mistake people make sometimes, they do not go up the mountain and they stay all the way down. It is okay as long as this area is Arafah. Some people spend it outside Arafah. Even one step out of the Arafah, the Hajj is invalid. So this has to be exactly, and there will be signs saying this is where Arafah starts, and then tells you that if you are in Arafah or outside of Arafah, because that is a very important thing to make sure you are in Arafah during the time of, or if whoever misses the day of Arafah, basically they miss the Hajj. For those who are doing Hajj, fasting the day of Arafah is not recommended. Of course, for us, those who are not doing, well, I don't know what I'm saying, us, maybe we'll go do Hajj, inshallah. For those who are not doing Hajj, we know fasting the day of Arafah is very good, but for the Hujjaj, they're not supposed to fast it, so they have more energy to make dua and to worship Allah during that day. You know, this is the best day of the year, as we mentioned, the day of Arafah is the best day of the year. So after that, after the day of Arafah is finished, they do until, as we said, the next day, and then they go from there. Now we're talking about the 10th day, which is Eid. This is when people will go to Muzdalifah, and they will stay there until the next day. And then they will do the Rami. Basically, they will go to the Jamarat al-Aqaba place where they start stoning the shaitan. And some people get too excited and they start throwing their shoes like they're beating up the shaitan for real. This is just a symbol. This is a symbol. It's not the real shaitan standing there, obviously. So some people got very excited and they start throwing their shoes and their stuff on the shaitan, beating shaitan up. You probably see some videos, even some people go there and they're not supposed to. They get close and they start beating shaitan and cursing at shaitan. It's funny. Subhanallah. Anyhow,
And people are stoning them, because they are
yeah, they get hit. They get hit by the people who are trying to do it. So that's funny. Yeah, and you're supposed to get pebbles, small things. You're not throwing a rock, yani. giving shaitan a concussion or something. That's not how it works. Anyway, after that, there will be tahallul al-asghar, they call it. Basically, when a person, you can shave your head and you do another tawaf and you do the sacrifice. This is for the yani part of the hajj, to do the sacrifice, cutting the hair, and one more day, that will be the 12th or 11th, you can do rami again. And then 11, 12, and 13 should stay, that person should stay in Mina. And then they do tawaf al-wada' and they leave Mecca. Basically, that's in short.
So
There
shaving
are,
the head is after the qurbani or before the qurbani?
they say the better for it to be after.
Okay.
So there should be qurbani first and then the shave. But if you do it not in the same order, it's okay. It's not a condition. All right. So this is about Hajj. Now next is a different, not really different topic exactly, ziyarah, visiting Medina. There are a lot of misconception about this actually, visiting Medina when you're doing Hajj. First of all, it's not a part of Hajj. Your Hajj is complete even if you don't go to Medina. So that's number one. Number two, the only thing, there are a few things that sunnah to visit, and people go visit a lot of things that are not sunnah. So that's why we want to say again from the bid'ah. This is bid'ah. If you go to Medina and visit these areas, for tourism, it's a different story. But if you're going there for an act of worship, this is bid'ah if it's not sunnah to visit these areas. So this is important for us to know what are the things that you are supposed to be visiting in Medina. Now, of course, the Masjid al-Nabawi, for sure, the Masjid of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And like we said, this is not a part of the Hajj, but visiting a Masjid al-Nabawi is sunnah. And while you are there, to visit the grave of the Prophet ﷺ is okay. But, and this is a very big deal here because people make that mistake, visiting the Prophet ﷺ's grave as being the intention of the travel is a mistake and bid'ah. What does that mean? Like somebody is only going to visit the grave of the Prophet ﷺ, that is the intention of his travel. And to make dua, ask the Prophet ﷺ for help, or start kissing it and doing all the things that people do. All these are bid'ah. The companions never did that. While you are there, so your intention is I'm visiting al Masjid al-Nabawi. While I am there, I visit the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. Your intention should not be I am visiting the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. That's a wrong intention. So this is one big mistake people make. And if the Prophet ﷺ is grave, and he's the best of mankind, it is bid'ah to ask him for help. Then what are people doing with the other graves of other people? That is very bad.